Before you take that next bite of a chocolate bar, listen to this. Over 70% of the world's cocoa bean production comes from Africa. Yet less than 1% of chocolate is actually made in Africa. Business of chocolate, it is deeply rooted in colonialist practices. Chocolate did not originate in Africa. It actually originated in the days of the Mayans and the Aztecs, who grew, consumed the cocoa beans, and then with colonialism of the Spaniards coming in, they discovered it and then took the practice of turning cocoa beans into chocolate back to Spain, and over the course of centuries it evolved into other countries. And these colonialist powers would take the practice to their colonies, including the countries of West Africa. Exporting cocoa beans is actually the largest export activity out of Ivory Coast and like the third largest export activity out of Ghana. These countries are literally driving the production of chocolate across the world. Here is how the colonialism shows up. When these big brands, some of your favorite brands on our supermarket shelves, purchase the cocoa beans from the cocoa farmers in Africa, these European companies are making upwards of $2 billion from the sale of chocolate. Yet the people who produce the primary raw material are living below the poverty line, facing persistent poverty and generational poverty. Farming cocoa can be very harmful to the environment because once the cocoa beans are harvested, oftentimes the trees have to be slashed and burned, and that plot of land cannot be replanted. This is having serious environmental effects on these African countries. In order for a lot of these farmers to be able to make a living off of planting and selling their cocoa beans, they have to try to drive down their operational costs, the biggest one being labor. And how do they do that? Child labor. A lot of these big brand chocolate companies can go to Africa, exploit it for their own gain to make big profits. They insist on buying the cocoa beans at the minimal cost that they can pay, even when they are taking it, making chocolate and making massive profit margins. These big businesses, primarily from former colonialists, are only concerned in the money that they make on chocolate. My husband just came back from Ghana and he brought me back this particular bar of chocolate. It is called Fair Afrique, made by ethical, environmental, and labor standards. Fair Afrique has these chocolate bars. They also have amanase, chocolate covered pineapple. It's chocolate covered mango, which is delicious. It's covered in pistachios, and these are delicious. So the next time you go to the supermarket, check to see if the chocolate is made in Africa, if it is made by fair standards, to help us decolonize chocolate.